Hey now, hapless citizens of the YouTube verse. Welcome back to another session with the Record Jerk. On today's show, we're just gonna do a good old-fashioned vinyl finds, recent pickups kind of show. I ain't done one of these since sometime last year, so let you guys see some of the bullshit that's been coming into the collection lately. Ay, 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 ay. These first two records were actually gifted to me by my family for Christmas, so a big thanks goes out to Korg, whom you lot, Jerry and the kids. They got me this sucker here, Transylvanian Disease by the Rostock Vampires. This is German hardcore punk from 1989. Came out on Nuclear Blast. Nowadays, most people just associate Nuclear Blast with putting out metal shit. But when they started out, they put out mainly hardcore punk shit. This is Nuclear Blast 14. And this is like straight up hardcore punk. It's not really crossover at all. There's a couple guitar leads, but I mean, it's hardcore. 1989, pretty late in the game on straight up hardcore. But it's a cool ass record. Kind of vaguely reminds me of early 7 Seconds with maybe rougher vocals. There's even a song or two that sounds almost like a more hardcore Bouncing Souls almost. But these guys are rad. They toured with Impulse Manslaughter all over Europe back in the late 80s. Groovy artwork on the inner. Rostock Vampires, good one. The family also hooked me up with this one, Animal Games by London. This is one I've been wanting for a long time, but just never got around to grabbing. So good on them for making it happen. This is late 70s UK punk rock. Came out on MCA Records in 1978. And this record, I'm pretty sure, came out after the band had already broken up. They had a string of cool singles and then this sucker, and that was it, I guess. But these guys play like catchy, mid-paced 77 UK punk. Kind of the Chelsea variety. Good stuff. These guys toured in 77 with the Stranglers. Riff Reagan on vocals. Riff Reagan, rock and roller. This drummer, John Moss, went on to play with like the Damned, the Nips, Adam and the Ants, and eventually the fucking Culture Club of all motherfuckers. Good one though. Solid 70s punk record. London. I always wonder about these fucking bands that name themselves after a city or a fucking country or a fucking continent or a state or whatever. It's like kind of a weak ass name, but whatever. Good record. I grabbed this wonderful LP by the Only Ones. This is Even Serpent Shine from 1979. CBS Records UK. Pretty rad cover art. And a pretty rad album too. This is loosely punkish rock and roll kind of shit, kind of the Johnny Thunders, Nicky Sudden scarf rock variety. You know, scarf rock? I don't know if a lot of people use that term scarf rock, but that's definitely a thing. This record rules though, this band rules. Kind of like laid back heroin rock and roll with some punky influences. Some New York Dolls flavor, a little bit of Mata Hoople maybe. They got the drummer from Spooky Tooth, oddly enough. Peter Perrette on vocals and guitar. Really dig this dude's voice. Super enjoyable listen, zero bad songs. It's their second record. Their other records are good too. The only ones. Another one I've been trying to get forever. Fucking great album by Astakask, the Aldridge N LP. This came out in 1986 on Rosa Honung Records out of Sweden. This fucking band is great. Super melodic, fastish, hardcore punk shit. But you know, like the early hardcore where it's still faster punk, not fucking brutality and speed and yelling in your face. Like, still nice melodic tunes, but just fast and intense versions of them, you know? It's fucking awesome. Fucking great singer. Just the right ratio of gruffness to his hit notability. Fucking wonderful. It's their first full-length LP. I think they did a mini LP before this and singles and shit. Catchy tunes. Great songwriting, top-notch musicianship, fucking great. Love this band, love this record, highly recommended. Astakask. Came across this little friend in need of a home. What kind of man would I be if I didn't bring it back with me? The Breakouts. No more 12-inch EP. 1983 Accelerator Records. It's a band from San Francisco, California, USA. And this indeed does sound like a California punk record from 1983. Believe it or not. The single they put out before this got comped on one of the Killed by Death or Bloodstains records or one of those. And they kind of have that sound. It's still got a good chunk of 70s punk in it, but with that 1983 speed and intensity. It's pretty powerful stuff. I'm surprised they don't have a bigger name, really. It's a fucking good one. Probably way overdue for a reissue, man. Breakouts were rad. Pretty sure Accelerator Records was just their own label and only put out shit by them. I think there's a bootleg out there of this thing, but somebody needs to do a real reissue with this and the fucking other single and shit like that. Cool band. Join Me, Don't Join Me. That's my jam on this one. Dude has a cool little vocal line he does on it. Found this thing, HDQ. Hung, drawn, and quartered. 1985 Endangered Music out of the UK. Pretty nice artwork of the old flaming skull getting hung. I like it when skulls still have eyeballs. Endangered Music was a cool label. They put out stuff by like Oi Polloi and Anti-Sect, a bunch of other cool stuff. And this fits in decently with that lineup. Interestingly enough, a couple of the guys from this band went on to form the Mighty Leatherface, who made a name for themselves a couple years later. They also had members from this band that played in Angelic Upstarts, Red Alert, Toy Dolls, Generic. Unlike a lot of those bands, though, this is like hardcore punk shit. A little bit of GBH, a little bit of US hardcore sound in it. It's fucking like dark, morbid, pissed off hardcore punk. It's pretty fucking awesome. I like this record even more than I thought I would. Crazy wild shit. Hot punk rock. How can you argue with that? I can't. They like colored their mohawks a little bit. Some like pretty weird artifact on all their hairstyles for that extra punk rock flavor. HDQ, this is a good one. I think this is their first 12-inch. This was a good score. The No Means No, You Kill Me 12-inch EP from 1985 on Undergrowth Records. This is the original Canadian press. I know Alternative Tentacles reissued this sometime in the 90s, I think. This was apparently No Means No's first recording as a 3-piece. You got 4 No Means No songs and then a cover of Manic Depression by Hendrix, which normally I'd be like, why the fuck you gonna cover Hendrix? But it's No Means No, and they can totally do that if they want. It comes out just fine. No Means No records in the last couple years have really gotten harder to find and more expensive. And luckily I already have most of them from like years ago. But if ever I find one that I'm still missing at a reasonable price, I pounce on it, man, because people been charging stupid shit for these lately. But I got this for a real sweet deal. So lucky for me. Man, No Means No is a little bit of a hard band to describe, really. They got their own sound that sounds like No Means No. They're like a weird, interesting, and unique and fucking killer band. The music is really bass heavy, bass driven, delivered with a fucking punk rock attitude and top-notch musicianship. And these darkly intelligent, creepy lyrics. It's like little fucking hints of jazz and shit coming through. This is like proto-math rock or something. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's No Means No. It's fucking good. Cool score, great band, happy to have it. Scored this little urchin, the Vectors 12-inch EP from 1981. This is on Red Zone Records. This is the only release on Red Zone Records. Yellow vinyl, 1981 yellow vinyl. Vectors are cool, man. Came out of Fullerton, California, and it really has that beach punky kind of sound. It's like poppy punk rock and roll shit. It's not like hardcore at all. Vectors put out a single before this, I think in the late 70s, Death to Disco. All 5 tracks are great. Look at Dave Guccione here. He just looks uncomfortable for some reason in his stripy pants and his little headband. It'll be okay, fella. Pretty righteous record, though. If you hadn't figured it out yet, I dig me some early 80s California punk, and this scratches that itch. This was a cool find at a local shop and something I've been looking for a while, too. Punky Reggae Party by Bob Marley. Bob Marley and Lee Scratch Perry. This record came out in 1977 on Tough Gong out of Jamaica. Pretty cool to find. I got a tiny reggae streak in me and can always get down with some Bob Marley, but I just gots to have the punky reggae party. If you're not familiar with this track, it sounds like Bob Marley top-notch reggae with fucking Lee Scratch Perry producing. That's a fucking match made in reggae heaven, right? But the song is about Bob being like psyched and supportive that the English punk bands are incorporating some reggae and ska shit into their sound. In the tune, he fucking calls out the Damned, the Jam, the Clash, Toots and the Maytals. He says they're all gonna have a party with Bob and the Wailers. And it says straight up, no boring old farts will be there. It's like, this is a party that I would like to attend. Bob and the Jam and the Damned and the Clash and the Maytals. Come on. That's a party. Just the one tune on the A side, and then the B side is like a different version of the same tune. Cool cover for it. Disco 45. Down with disco, up with punk. Ayo. Switch over to 7 inches. I got another Bob record, but this is a very different Bob. This Bob has no last name. This is the Things That You Do single. Thomas Edison on the B-side. Came out on Dumb Records in 1980. It's another San Francisco band, I think. And this sounds kind of like if the singer from Vom was singing on the Giza X and the Mommy Men LP. Except there's a chick that does a duet. But when the dude sings, he kind of sounds like that guy. They both go back and forth on it. It's kind of like a quirky, wavy, synthy keyboard punk kind of shit. Somewhere between fucking Devo and the Screamers. Somewhere in Mommy Men territory. The sleeve's a little weird. It's got like a front hard cardboard piece that's just like glued on to this flimsier paper. Spring release! Nobody cares. It's a fucking good one though. Lo-fi and weird. Both songs are great. Bob. I dig it. I know they did an LP. I ain't listened to that yet. Anybody knows if the LP by Bob is good, let me know. This next one here is, for me, a personal grail status. Something I was looking for a long time. Something that's pretty fucking hard to find, especially at a decent price. Super glad to finally have a copy of this fucking monster in my collection. Jaws, with the Loser single, Slow Rider on the B-side. This came out of Germany in 1978 on Schwalland Musikhandel Records. I believe this is the only record they ever put out. From what I heard, there's only 200 copies of this that were pressed up. These guys apparently were college students that went out and seen the Clash on their 1977 tour and were like, let's make a band. And this is what they came up with. The A-side Loser is a fucking perfect Killed by Death style punk rock nugget, man. Song fucking rules. And somehow they get away with slipping like the fucking Thin Lizzy style dual guitar lead into this fucking punk rock jam. It's a fucking keeper. Loser by Jaws. Look it up. Great tune. The B-side Slow Rider's not as good. It's kind of like a hard rockin' boogie rock kind of number. Not too punky at all. Not bad, but can't compare with the excellent fucking Loser. Real glad to have this thing. Look at these guys. They didn't get the memo they had to cut their hair. That's alright. I kept my hair long too, man. Ain't supposed to be no rules in punk rock. Long hair allowed, in my book. Cool fucking record. Another record from 1978. This one out of Sweden. Problem. This is the Crops Visit EP. Or however the hell you say that. Larm Records. Rock 0001. Ay, ay, ay. 4 great tracks of Swedish punk from 1978, man. The first song and the last song are like pretty tough for 1978 punk rock. Pretty killer shit. The 2 songs in the middle are real good too. More like enjoyable sing-along rockers. All 4 songs are great. Problem is cool. They put out an LP after this that I don't have, but I listened through and gets a little artier. Would have been cool if they had a whole LP of this kind of shit. It's still probably worth checking out though, but this shit's pretty hot. Stumbled across this little baby one day sitting in the record orphanage. Couldn't let it rot there unloved. Had to bring it home to be in a loving environment. The Replacements, Kiss Me on the Bus single, Little Mascara on the B-side. It came out in 1985 on Sire. It's a UK release, produced by the great Tommy Ramone. I dig this era of Replacements. It's from their Tim LP. The A-side, Kiss Me on the Bus, is alright. It's like 80s alternative rock. Kind of a happy tune for the Replacements. I dig the B-side more. Little Mascara is a great fucking song. A little more rock and roll, a little more desperate than the A-side. Sad little story, you know. Paul Westerberg has a great voice for sad tunes. He has a great voice anyway. Good one. Okay, last one. This is the Nice and Loud 7-inch compilation. Came out of New York City in 1984. Big City Records. This label did like a whole series of compilations based off the lyrics to Big City by the Dead Boys. There's Big City, One Big Crowd, and this is the Nice and Loud one. And it's cool. The A-side is 3 New York hardcore punk bands. B-side is 3 Connecticut hardcore punk bands. Got No Control, Disorderly Conduct, and Ultraviolence out of New York. Reflex from Pain, Vatican Commandos, and CIA out of Connecticut. Reflex from Pain has members that would go on to Youth of Today and 76% Uncertain. Vatican Commandos, that dude Moby was playing with them for a while. CIA is probably my favorite band of the bunch on here. This is not their best song, but it's a good one. The CIA 7-inch God, Guts, and Guns fucking rules. And really, even though I come from New York, man, feel like Connecticut wins this round, man. Feel like Connecticut sent their A team and New York sent their, like, C or D squad, man. Not that the shit's bad. It's all good. Enjoyable record. Got a little insert in there, some advertisements, lyrics, and I guess that's it. That's some of the shit I picked up in the last couple months. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll have links in the description below if you want to fucking check out any of these records, hear what the fuck they sound like. Hey, I think I'm probably gonna take next week off, but I'll be back in a fucking week or two after that, so whatever. I'll see you next time I see you. Cheers.